Hey friends, it's Tracy. Welcome to today's video where I am bringing you some brand new fall crafts for 2023. Guys, I am so ready for fall and I hope that you're ready for a busy crafting season. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I'm starting with 3 of these wood slats from the Dollar Tree. These are wood hanging decor. I got them in the Crafter Square section and they measure 11.5 by 3 inches. And so what I'm going to do is paint the sides and the back with burnt orange paint, and that is Americana paint. And so then also I have 2 giant craft sticks. Now these come out in a pack. I get that from Walmart. I gave that paint, a coat of paint as well. Now I had ordered some homespun fabric from Jubilee Fabric, and I got my order in this past week, and I was so excited because I wanted to use it in today's project. So that's what I'm going to be using in most all of my projects. All right, so what I did is I just took my Cricut iron and just, ironed out the folds of the fabric. And so then I just took one of those slats and just, kind of measured it so that I could rip the fabric because I wanted the tattered edges on it for my pumpkin. All right, so I have my Mod Podge here, and I am just putting wet Mod Podge, and then I put my fabric on there, and then I go back over it with wet Mod Podge. The heat transfer method does not work. My fabric did not stick to the board, so it doesn't work like the scrapbook paper. So I got it to stick down just with wet Mod Podge. And so I do that with all 3 of the boards. I have 2 of them the same orange fabric, and then one of these, that's going to be the center of my pumpkin. Once my boards were dry, and just for added interest, I went around with my finger dauber, my little sponge, and my distress ink. This is Vintage Photo. It is my favorite distressing ink color, and so I just go around the edges of each one of the slats and just gave it some dark color. Then I just take a wispy brush. This is from the Dollar Tree, and then I have some cashew chalk paint. It's more beige looking, and I just gave it a little bit of dry brushing. And then it was a little bit too bright. I got a little bit too heavy in some spots, so once the paint was dry, I just took my distressing ink and went back over it and gave it a little bit more distress. And of course, I have to add a little bit of black paint splatter to my pumpkins, because I do love that. My black paint splatters. I just love that so much. So for the stem of my pumpkin, I have these small wood plaques. They are 3.5 by 2.5, and I thought it would be the perfect size for the stem of my pumpkin. So what I did is I gave it a coat of milk chocolate Americana paint, and just one coat because I wanted it to be a little bit transparent, not fully covered. And so now what I'm doing is taking my fan brush and that same cashew chalk paint and just giving a little faux plaid pattern, that's what I call it, on the stem of the pumpkin, just like that. So once it was dry, I took my Gator sanding sponge and just went around the edges just to expose the wood a bit. And I got my Gator sanding sponge off of Amazon. You can find that in my Amazon storefront. All right, so then now I'm going to go ahead and assemble my pumpkin, and I'm just using my L ruler just to kind of, make sure that it is all straight. And since this is going to be like a leaner or like a shelf sitter, I wanted it to be straight along the bottom. And so then for that middle piece, what I did is I kind of just maybe like 1/4 of an inch kind of above the 2 sides. I wanted it to offset just a bit, and so that kind of sticks up just a little tiny bit. All right, so then to assemble the back, I just cut those craft sticks down, just took off the ends basically, and then just kind of put those on the back. And then I added my stem to my pumpkin as well. Then I'm going to make a tag. Now these market tags are something that I have had on hand for a while. And so then I'm going to just take my fine point Sharpie marker and just hand letter Farm Fresh Pumpkins. I just put my happy dots on the ends of each of the letters. Then once I finish that, then I'll take my ultrafine Sharpie marker, then go around and add a little bit of doodling around the edges. Then I'm going to take some kind of off-white paint and put a happy dot, or put a swoosh rather, in each of the happy dots. I like to do that just to make my my words pop. And so then once that's all dry, once that paint's all dry, then I'll take my vintage photo distressing ink and just go around. I'll crinkle up the tag a little bit just to give it a little aged look. And then I will add some distress ink around my tag so that it all kind of ties in together. I'm going to be making kind of like a funky bow kind of topper for my pumpkin. And so I just have some muslin fabric, some brown fabric. I have this unbleached cheesecloth that I found in the sewing section at Hobby Lobby. This fun, funky green ribbon I'm going to be using kind of like for my leaves. I found that also at Hobby Lobby. In the specialty ribbon section by the Deco Mesh, I'm going to be using that kind of like for my greenery. I'm also going to be adding some berries, but I'll show you that in a little bit once I get my funky bow finished. Now, these are just different ribbons and trims, and I just have some frayed burlap ribbon that I had on hand. I think I got that at Hobby Lobby as well. But you can get ribbons and trims and all kind of fun stuff at Hobby Lobby, just different craft stores and Walmart. Look for those type of things. And so then I'm just going to be adding some jute cording. No, this is actually hemp cording or jewelry cording. I like to use these, use it in my bows because I think it just adds a fun, whimsical look to it as well. So then I kind of attach my tag to that as well. And then I attach everything together like with a pipe cleaner, hot glue, however I can get it all to stay together. It makes me a happy crafter. I recently got these berries from Hobby Lobby and I think they're very interesting. I love the way that they add a lot of different interests to my country rustic projects. And so for me and my projects, it's all about the layering and about adding this and that to it, just with the different textures, and then just really taking something and making something else out of it. That just really makes me happy. And of course, I am here to inspire you, to encourage you to, use things to match your style, your colors, and what makes your heart happy. Today, I am teaming up with some awesome fellow YouTubers, who is Jenn from Mother Time and Linda from Faith Chick 777 DIY by Design. We are all bringing you some fall inspiration just to spark that interest, just to get you ready for the fall season. Links for their channels and other things will be listed in the description box below. I know that you're not going to want to miss that. And guys, if you are coming coming over from one of their channels and you are new to me, welcome. I am so glad that you are all here, and I hope that you will consider subscribing to my channel if you are currently not. I am blessed by so many wonderful people and so glad that you're here. All right, let's go ahead and get into the rest of the video. Here are some of the supplies I'm using in this cute Scarecrow Girl project. Now, for her body, I am using this wood tag I got from Hobby Lobby. I picked it up during their 75% off sale. I paid $3.74, and I decided to use this one because it was a little bit thicker and a little bit heavier than this one from the Dollar Tree. But I wanted to just share that for this an option, this is the same size as this one that I got from Hobby Lobby, but it's just a personal preference. But I just wanted to give you an option if it's something that you would like to, recreate. Now for the face, I'm using this snowman cutout. This also came from the Dollar Tree, and what I did is I took off the brim and the scarf, the nose. I just used my heat tool. It was a little difficult to get off. I don't know if it was just this particular one, but yeah, I had to kind of push and pull and that kind of thing. And then so I'm not going to be using the scarf or the nose. And then for her arms, I'm going to be using 2 of these wood hanging decor slats that I got from the Dollar Tree in the Crafter Square section. I'm going to be making some arms out of that. Now for the bottom, what I'm going to be using are, I don't know if I'm going to be using all of the jeans or just part of the jeans, but I picked up these jeans at a thrift store for $1. And, I'm choosing to use them. I got them from a thrift store. And so they're like a kid size. They're Wranglers and they're so cute. I just love them. Now for like the shirt for my girl, I have this homespun fabric, and I recently placed an order with JubileeFabric.com, and I got some really cute patterns in, and I wanted to use it in today's projects. Now for the dry sign, what I did is I took off that jute hanger, and so then what I'm going to do is give it a coat of cashew chalk paint and let that dry. I also am going to be painting the face of my Scarecrow Girl the same cashew chalk paint color, and then let that dry. Now for my homespun fabric, what I'm going to do is I have this fat quarter. I had placed an order with Jubilee Fabric and ordered several different designs, and so it's only 1/4 of a yard, and so I had to be creative in making sure that I got all of my fabric, because I needed it for the shirt and for her arms. And of course I have tons of other fabric, but no, I wanted to use this one. Anyway, so here guys, what I'm doing is to make the arms, I wanted to have a little bit of cushion. And if I would have thought about it, I would have tea stained the socks, but you don't really see them anyway. But what I'm doing is these are just like socks. I just needed something for my arm to get a little bit of cushion, a little stuffing, and for everything to, kind of hold it together. And so I just have one of those socks I just put on each arm, and then kind of what I just stuff with is like pillow stuffing or, fabric fill. And so then that's what I did is I just, put that sock on there just like that. And then with that homespun fabric, I just wrapped it around, just hot glued everything in place. For the raffia, I just, made small sections of I just cut little raffia off, and then I just worked in sections and just kind of glued as I went, took my time, and everything just looks really cute. And this is going to be her arms, for her body. So for her shirt, I am, just kind of positioning these extra pieces of the homespun fabric there. Now, these they're each ripped from when I did them on the arm. So I want to keep those tattered edges you know, like where it looks like she has that shirt. And so these wood buttons, I think I got a thing of buttons at Hobby Lobby that were like more neutral color browns, natural, that kind of thing. Anyway, and so then I just put them in one of those little plastic containers from the Dollar Tree. And so I'm going to be using those for little buttons for the front of her shirt. Now to adhere the homespun fabric to my board, I'm just using Mod Podge. And so just, you know, giving it some wet Mod Podge underneath as well as on top so that everything is nice and secure and everything is glued down. All right, so then for her nose, what I did is I just drew out a triangle out of foam board, and I'm just giving it a coat of burnt orange paint, and that is Americana paint. And then first I was going to be adding some burlap for a hat, but then I decided to just paint the hat and the brim and that kind of thing. And so to make the face, I'm doing what I usually do for my faces is just draw it out in pencil. Then I'll go back and add some black marker. And as you could see, my black Sharpie marker, I had to go ahead and throw that one in the trash because it was like on its last leg. It wasn't very, you know, had a lot of color to it. What I did, then I went back with black paint and just filled those in. All right, so then here for her cheeks, what I'm using is just coral paint and a wispy brush that I got from the Dollar Tree. Now, as you could see, if you're watching me paint, I got a little paint on that one cheek. And so I just went back and corrected it with just some cashew paint, let that dry. And so then now I'm just going to go ahead and shade everything with my favorite way of shading. If this is your first time watching, I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you so much for being here. I do love to share just hand painting. I love to share, you know, just different things that I like to do. I like to do all kind of crafts. And so I like to share hand painting, wreaths, home decor, and all that kind of thing. And I do like to create cute little whimsical faces for my characters. I do have a video that I've created. I really need to be updating that because I have a lot more character faces that I need to add to that video. Anyway, so I will leave a link for that if you would like to check that out. And so what I'm doing here is I'm just continuing to paint the faces, but I'll be honest with you because I try to be honest with my community. I was having a really off day this day when I was painting this. I was not happy with her face, and I end up having to go back and add some paint to where I just kind of got ahead of myself, didn't let it dry, so it kind of smeared, and I was not happy with the eyelashes. So I end up going back and giving that some cashew paint, painting over those, and then just using a ultra fine Sharpie marker just to draw her eyelashes because I tried several times. I was not happy with it. So I'm just being honest with you. Even as many times as or many things that I have painted, each day is a new day, and we kind of mess up and we just go on with it. So here what I'm doing here is drawing out a mouth, and first I drew it out with a pencil. Then I'm just going back with a different Sharpie marker because this one you can see is much better. And so I'm just kind of going and kind of filling in to make it a little bit thicker where I want it. And then I'll go back with just a little thin liner brush and just fill it in with some paint and just make everything look really nice. And here from this angle, her eyelashes didn't look too bad, but I just really wasn't happy with them. They weren't as wispy as I like them. And so you can see here, I just went ahead and painted over them. And then anyway, it is what it is. I'm just kind of sharing, and I just want to encourage my community, you know, that it's just paint. You can paint over it. And I leave all of this in here, guys, to share that no matter, I've been painting for nearly 30 years, and I still am not happy with some of my painting sometimes. And so I know that the ultra fine Sharpie marker doesn't quite show up as well as the black paint, but it does show up better in person. All right, so then for her hat, what I did is I have some burlap acrylic paint, and I just painted it a couple of coats of that. Then now I'm taking a flat paintbrush. I'm going to be making the stripes, and I just kind of take my time and just, you know, kind of just make the stripes one way, then I'll go back the other way. And then I usually leave the brim last because I want to match up my stripes. And so then I'll go ahead and do the brim and then make sure that everything is dry. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some of the cashew paint. I'm going to be using my fan brush just to give it a little bit of the wispiness. My projects are very whimsical, very country cute. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're new here, welcome into my community. Those of you that have been with me, thank you so much because I really do appreciate you. I add a little bit of black shading to the hat as well as the brim, and then kind of on the other, you know, on one side of the stripes, just to give some depth and dimension for my projects. I'm also going to be adding some stitching marks to her mouth because, you know, a scarecrow usually has some stitch marks in her mouth. So I'm just using my little liner brush to do that. I'm also going to use my ultrafine Sharpie marker just to go around and kind of bring out my whole project. This is something that I like to do just to, you know, give some squiggles. Doodles and squiggles is usually what I call it. And as I mentioned, the beauty is in the details. I say that a lot, all of the time, because, you know, I put a lot of thought and time into my projects. And so I am so grateful that you are here. And it just blesses my heart when someone says that they like my style of crafting. They're here for that. And they share their creations, your creations of what you've created, of something that you've picked up from me that really blesses my heart. So, now what I'm going to do is add some black paint splatters to my project because I do love that look. Of course, that's totally optional if that's not something that you like, but I love my doodling and my black paint splatters. So what I did is just add a little bit of glue to the nose just to, you know, adhere it to the face. Then what I'm doing now is adding some raffia, and then I just kind of position it off. And then to glue the brim of her hat, I am just using a combination of E6000 as well as hot glue. I don't mix the two. I just make sure that they are, you know, positioned on the back of there, and then just kind of hold that there together. To add a little interest to the sleeves, I'm going to just tie some raffia around there, or like where the cuff of the sleeve would be. And one thing that I want to mention is I like to use some of these very thin, they're actually clear for me, little rubber bands that I get in a pack at Dollar Tree. And that helps. I just kind of, you know, just kind of gather my raffia, and it really helps in little projects like this. And so then once I get this done, then what I'm going to do is just pick out the buttons that I want. I'm going to add buttons to the shirt, and then also a couple for her sleeves. Now, what I decided to do is I was thinking, okay, girl, how are you going to store this at the end of the season? Okay. And so what I decided to do is just for the arms as well as the head, I'm just going to buy some Velcro. I would have shared that, but I didn't have any Velcro on hand. I didn't think about it. Actually, when I first thought about this project, I was just going to make a sitter, just the body. But then when I found these jeans, I'm like, oh, I can use those for her, for the scarecrow, for the legs. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to Velcro the arms and the head onto her body. And that way at the end of the season, I can, just take those off. And then the jeans, I'm just going to like fold underneath her because, they're not stuffed or anything like that. And so that's going to make storage a lot easier for me than having a big thing in order to store. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of was thinking about that. All right. So then now what I'm going to do is I'm taking another one of those rubber bands because I'm going to be making a braid for her hair. So I just use one of those rubber bands from the Dollar Tree, and then I just have some tape here that I just tape it to my table because I'm going to braid her hair, or her raffia hair. And so, I just I've been braiding for many, many years. And so I'm just doing just a simple braid. And then I will just add another rubber band, to the bottom. I actually got it a little bit longer on this side than the other side. So I end up taking some of that off and just making it a little bit easier. Rubber bands, clamps, tape, all of that stuff is what I use. And I hope that you are enjoying seeing this project come to life. So I just glue the braid to the back of the brim of her hat, and so I also added a bit more raffia just to give it more whimsical, airy look. And so then this is how what I decided to do for the head. I have this larger Jenga block. These are tumbling tower blocks I get from Five Below, and so I am just going to Velcro that on there as well as the arms again, and that's why I said I was just thinking about, okay, how are you going to store this? So that's what I came up with. So we'll see how it works. All right. So then for the bottom, where the, feet would be, I'm just tying off some raffia, just put that in there and just tied some little bows around it. And oh my goodness, I'm so in love with this little girl. I tell you, I had thought about doing it one way and it actually came to be more, my envision became more expanded. And I hope that you really, really enjoy this project as well. Friends, don't forget that there is more fall inspiration videos in this collaboration. Those links will be in the description box below. Thank you to Jen and to Linda for collaborating with me today. I had a lot of fun and I hope that you did too. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. God bless you and y'all have a great day.